Hi folks, welcome back. Santo Sessa here with RE/MAX Premier. I have your latest market report for week ending November 29th. Now this report is just for Toronto. I'm covering detached semis, towns, and condos. If you're interested in how Toronto affects some of the outside areas, in particular York region, in a couple of days on Thursday, you should tune in because I'll be talking about Vaughan Market, Richmond Hill, and Markham. So it's really cool to see how the Toronto market affects all the other regions. I really appreciate your comments below. Thank you so much, especially the really nice comments. I know some of you guys get really mad at me. That's okay. I like those comments too, and some of you are a little bit out there, but that's fine. But I really like the comments and the messages of how this is actually, some of these reports are helping you. If you need further help, remember, I am a full-time realtor. I can help you answer. I have the answers to all your real estate questions. Please subscribe below, hit the like button so you're reminded when these videos come up, share them, whatever you can do to get the word out. That'll be awesome. Okay, let's get started. We're talking Toronto. Now, detached semis, towns. I've got one story that could almost be used for all three. Condos, I have the polar opposite story, like the mirror image of which way condos are going. We'll get the condos at the end. Detached prices. The average detached home in Toronto last week sold for $1,521,000. It's been going up for a few weeks in a row now. Now sales have been hovering just under 200. Last week we sold 194 detached houses. This is for week ending November 29th. And the amount of detached homes in Toronto that have sold at $2 million or more, we've been in the 50s and 60s at the end of September to the end of October. And for some reason, the beginning of November dropped down to a little more than half to 25, but it's been increasing since then. Now, in a normal situation, we're expecting at this time of year, average sold prices to kind of come down as the months get colder. We're expecting sales to come down. We're expecting listings to come down. You kind of get where I'm going there. We're expecting everything to kind of slow down. It's a normal seasonal thing that happens every year in our business. It's not happening this year in this situation. Average sold price has gone up, still a bit lower than it was before we went into the lockdown. Sales have stayed the same, and the amount of detached homes at $2 million have been increasing, opposite than what we expect things to happen. Compared to last year, we're 9% higher than where we were last year's average sold price. The week before we were 10.3% higher. The week before 8.8% higher. Here only 2.7, then back up to 8. So, you know, on average over the last few months, we've been probably 8-9% higher every single week than what we were last year at this time. Last year we sold 20 units at $2 million or more. This year, 32. So for sure, that's helping average sold price be higher this year. So you could say, oh, it's average sold price is higher because there was so many more sold at $2 million or more. You'd be right. However, there were so many more homes sold at $2 million or more is really the key to where the market is at. Things are much stronger when it comes to prices. When we look at sales compared to last year now, excuse me, orange is 2020, blue is last year's 2019 figures. We've been usually higher than last year's sales. The last few weeks we were a little bit lower. Last week in particular we were higher. We sold, like earlier we said, 194 units, where last year was 153. Now half of these units, 194, were sold at list price or more. Half of them. So it's very active. If you've not been in the market for a long time and you're just deciding now to get into the market and to start buying, you're going to be surprised that there's a price. Half of them you might negotiate down. The other half you're paying their price or more, which I know is completely unheard of for some of you people that haven't been in a market in a long, long time. Negotiating up is like out of this world for you, I understand. Here's an interesting fact. Last year, from January 1st to November 29, we sold 8,982 detached homes in the city of Toronto. This year, so far, we've sold 9,142, 160 more detached homes. It's interesting, you know, because when we were in our lockdown, if I would have said to you, don't worry, we're in a lockdown now, but by the time the year rolls around, detached prices are going to be up, sales are going to be higher than what they were last year, you would have thought I was crazy. I didn't give that prediction when we were in the lockdown or even just coming out of it, because I would have thought it was crazy to even say that. But this is where we are today. It's all true. These are not make-believe numbers. This is what's actually happening in our market right now. Listings. Listings are doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be tapering down as we get into the colder months. And that's what's happening here. We listed 244 detached homes last week. Months of inventory down to 1.6, which at 2.122, anything less than 4 months of inventory is a seller's market. We're way down here at 1.6. There's a lot of pressure on prices to go up. There's fewer choices out there. This is why we're seeing prices come up. Months of inventory really is the barometer that helps kind of give us an idea of supply and demand and the relation between the two. Let's look at semis. What I told you about detached, very similar to semis. Average sold price has been going up, and it's been going up for a couple of weeks. Sales, we did 63 sales last week for semis. The amount of semis that sold at $1.5 million was 9. Compared to the pre-lockdown price, we're a little bit lower at 3.3%. But, you know, look at this here. The average sold price for semi has been very steady and very strong. Sure, there's ups and downs. I'm monitoring this on a weekly basis. It's going to go up and down. But the overall trend is pretty steady. Compared to last year, 8% higher, 9% higher. I don't know what happened here, 17% higher. But in general, we're much higher than we were at last year's average sold price. Last year we sold 11 semis at $1.5 million or more. This year we sold less, and our average sold price is still higher. So semis prices have come up. Sales. We've been generally selling more than what we've been selling last year, when we compare on a weekly basis. This week we sold 63 semis, 10 more than we did last year at this time. 67% of those, so 2/3, sold at list price or more. Lots of competition in the semi market. Last year, year to date, we sold 2,877. This year, 2,977. So semis, as far as production goes, the amount of semis sold, we're 100 more this year than what we were last year at this time, as of November 29th. Crazy, I know. We're doing more activity this year than last year. Listings. Listings are behaving. Listings is the only thing behaving seasonally the way it's supposed to. Listings are slowing down when it comes to semis. Months of inventory is dangerously low. We're at 1 month of inventory. Before that, 0.9. We've had 0.9 a couple times. It's forcing prices to stay up and to continue to go higher. That's what's happening in the semi market. Townhouses. What I said for detached was true for semis. It's also true for townhouses. Prices higher this week than we were last week, than the previous week, and the previous week before that. So they've been going up for a couple of weeks. The average townhouse sold for $1,088,000, which is a little bit higher than where we were pre-lockdown. Sales, sold 21 townhouses last week. There's not a lot of townhouse activity. I mean, we're selling 20, 21, 25, 27, so it's not a huge production. And the only reason I bring that up is because it's so easy for the numbers to be skewed with one or two sales that kind of go the wrong way. So 21 sales and average sold price is higher than it's been the last couple of weeks. I just talked to you about one or two sales can skew the numbers. Well, here's the perfect example. Townhouses generally, average sold price is higher than what it was last year. This particular week, even though prices are going up, it's a little bit lower. So it's a little bit crazy what's going on over there. But generally speaking, on a yearly basis, or if we average out the weeks, townhouse prices have come up. They're higher than what they were last year. Sales, some weeks were lower than last week, than last year. Some weeks were a little bit higher. Last particular week, we were a little bit higher with 21 sales. Now, last year at this time, we had sold 992. This year, a little bit higher, 1,031. What is that, like 40 or so more townhouses. So it's close, but we've edged past where we were last year at this time as far as sales go. So detached, we're selling more. Semis were selling more than we did last year. Townhouses were selling more than what we did last year. Prices are up in all those three categories. Listings are tapering down, which is what we expected this time of the year. Months of inventory dropped a little bit, so sales are kind of staying where they were, but listings have come down. Months of inventory is a little bit lower, which is pushing prices up a bit. Less months of inventory means there's less available for sale, which means there's less choices, which means more buyers are kind of competing, forcing prices up. So here we are, condos. What I said about detached, semis, and towns is not true for condos. If we take the graphs and put it up against the mirror, condos is going the other way. So, average sold price for condos has been dropping for a few weeks in a row. Last week, the average condo price sold for $610,000, which is way lower, like 14% lower than what it was before the lockdown. If I would have told you before the lockdown, when everybody was scrambling up here at over a $700,000 average sold price, if I would have said, oh, condos, they're finished this year, they're going to take a beating, you would have thought I was crazy. Why didn't I say that? Because I would have thought I was crazy. Nobody's expected what's happening right now. So average sold price of condos has come way down. Is it going to continue to go further? I think so. It's in the cards there. When we look at sales, however, it's not all bad news. Sales have kind of been hovering around the 200 mark, and although average sold price has dropped, sales have stayed pretty steady there. If you could see here, we sold 209 condos last week. Compared to last year's price, average sold price is 5.3% lower than what it was last year. Okay, so sales compared to last year, remember, orange is 2020, blue is 20 last year. You can see we're selling far less condos than what we sold last year. And if we take the year as a whole up to November 29, year to date, well, last year we sold 15,622 or 23 as of November 29th for the whole year. This year, 13,861. That's 1,762 less condos. Now, in the other home types, the detached, semis, and towns, we've done more sales, but not by a lot, by 40, by 100, 160. This is 1,762 lower. Major opposite difference there. Listings. Last year, when the condo market was king, if we look at the blue, yes, sales are tapering down last year, seasonal, we expect it, but very gradual. This year, the orange, listings are also coming down, but much more aggressive than what they did last year. And if we looked at active listings, which is more important than just new listings, if we look at kind of middle of October, we had 5,834 condos available for sale. Now remember, we're buying around 200 a week. 5,834 though are available. Lots of choice out there. Active listings though has been dropping every single week, and when we take middle of October to where we are last week, 4,800, there's about 1,000 less active condo listings out there. That's not bad news for condo prices. That's actually good news. It's still a lot, and that's why we're seeing prices still come down. But you'll see the effect here on months of inventory. Months of inventory is a little bit less. Now there's still a lot of choice out there for condos, and that's why you're seeing prices come down, but it's not all bad news. Maybe it's going to kind of bottom out a little bit and start to go the other way slowly. Maybe. Hard to tell, or it's going to keep going down further. They're not going to be giving condos away for free. And maybe one reason why there's so many less listings is some of these condo sellers are holding off and thinking, well, I'm not going to sell it at that price. I'm going to wait. There's all this talk about vaccines, so maybe they're pulling their condos out of the market or not listing and waiting to see what happens in the new year. But also, when a ton of these condo listings came up, there's a lot of panic sellers out there. And maybe it's kind of simmered down a bit. There's all sorts of maybes, I know. Also, I got to tell you, and this is a fact, I'm telling you what months of inventory are for condos, but that's all the city of Toronto. There's going to be a building you want to buy in, and it's the opposite. Months of inventory in there could be 1 or 2 months, and it could be very aggressive to buy. And you go into another building, and it could be 12 months of inventory. There's so many condos available in that building. So it all depends where you're looking at. In this market, whether prices are going up, down, it's so important you have a good realtor on your side. Work with somebody you feel good about, somebody that you trust. Work with a professional. My name is Santo Sessa with RE/MAX Premier. Thanks for watching. And again, in a couple of days on Thursday, we got Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham coming online so you can see what's happening in those areas. Have a great day and be safe.